Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? I hope you're all hearing me okay. For some reason, the countdown wasn't working. I don't know. Hi, Judy. How are you today? Hi, Sandy. I'm sure Jim is going to join me. I'm not sure when. Sometimes he gets on, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he falls off. Sometimes he shows up. All right. So we got the next chapter. Hi, Barbara. How are you tonight? All right, so everyone can see me and hear me. For some reason, when I did the live on Thursday on Facebook, when I did the playback, it was black. So I don't know what happened with that. So hopefully it's showing up okay today on YouTube. It could have been just something weird with their recording. Hi, Chanel. How are you tonight? Good, good. I'm glad you're doing good, Barbara. All right. So I'm just gonna wait a few seconds more. I wanted to play a piece of music while waiting for people to come on, but for some reason it wasn't working. So I'm gonna try this one and see. It's only 48 seconds, and then we will start reading the chapter. Oh, okay, never mind. I have to upgrade. All right, never mind that then. It's always something. There's something new profile on this. Hi, Elvis Daily Verses and Prayers. How are you tonight? Okay, great. I'm glad you can hear me. Hi, Purple Green. How are you tonight? Huh? Yeah, it's hazy, hot, humid, about 85. Very sticky outside today. I know that Australia, you guys are having winter. Here we're having summer, so yeah, it's pretty hot. All right. It's probably even hotter where Jim lives. He lives out in Arkansas, so it's pretty hot down there. Okay, so today we're going to do case file 13, a sampling of contradictions surrounding Elvis's death. All right, so I'm going to start and I'm just going to finish off here and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to start reading and then after we will attack the comments. All right, so there's a lot here, mostly questions about the readings and contradicting stories of excuse me, contradicting stories of his friends and family and biographers and everything else. So we're going to read a bunch of this and hopefully I can do it all in one. But there is a lot of questions here and so we're going to continue. So the question she says is besides those who have already mentioned and are there other puzzling inconsistencies that have been noted concerning the death of Elvis Presley? The answer, there have been many from Elvis's many fans primarily who have noted that even the contradictions sometimes have contradictions. Okay. So, in fact, there are so many puzzling contradictions in the stories told by Elvis's family, friends, and biographers regarding his death that it would take an encyclopedia to contain them all. Keeping in mind that news sources as well as biographies may have in cases misquoted a family member or friend. It is interesting to note, in brief, omitting the names of those who have written to me, what has been pointed out. Many of the following points have direct quotes from communications I've received. Others are paraphrasing, a few are taken directly from books and stated them. So on page 89 of the paperwork version of Mike Edwards' book, Priscilla, Elvis, and Me, Mr. Edwards says that he and Priscilla were in New York on the 1-year anniversary of EP's death. Priscilla asked him to go with her to St. Patrick's Cathedral so she could say a prayer and light a candle for Elvis. When Mike asked her what she had prayed for, she replied that she could not tell him, that it was a secret. But she continued, I hope he's happy and peaceful. A Catholic myself, she said, I can say that One lights a candle for the living, the sick, the troubled, asking for spiritual intervention. In that same book, page 218, Mike awakes to discover Priscilla and Lisa sitting on a sofa at the end of the bed where they were laughing, grinning, while involved in a conversation about Elvis. Lisa ending with, "Bless his sick little old self," since Elvis was presumably dead for some years, and laughing and kidding and talking about him in the present tense is strange. Okay. So the next point she points out is, why can't the Stanley brothers get together and decide how their stepbrother Elvis died? Rick says Elvis suffocated in the shag carpeting. David, according to columnist Liz Smith, says it was definitely suicide. Earlier, they intimated drugs, while stepmother Dee Presley says it was something else. And they wonder why we ask questions. Okay. Gail also says, I have noted in several pictures featuring Priscilla that she is wearing a wedding ring. Now, it says down at the bottom, the Priscilla's press agent says the ring is a personal one, not a wedding ring. It could be a ring that looks like a wedding band, but it's probably not. However, she has never married the man she's supposed to be living with, the reported father of Navarro. In Mike Edwards' book, Priscilla, Me, and Elvis, on chapter 28, when Edwards asks Priscilla what happened between her and Elvis, she responds with, I grew up. She talks about Elvis not being satisfied, that he was tired of singing rock and roll, and that his age was scaring him. And later, I saw Priscilla on Oprah, ABC, NBC, CBS, in all. When asked about Elvis being alive, she usually avoids it and says, let him rest in peace. Even when she did in 1985 cable TV show Elvis Presley's Graceland, she did not say Elvis died. Another mistake she made was to say Elvis's grave was between his mother's and father's, which is totally untrue. She has also said and been quoted on, we've had video clips about this, Priscilla on Oprah Winfrey show saying that's what he said the other day. And then recently, like 2-3 years ago, she sings happy birthday on his candlelight vigil. And on his 87th birthday, 88th birthday, somewhere in there, I think 88th birthday, she points to Graceland on his birthday celebration and said, yeah, he's there. He's living there. Believe me. So she is leaving out clues left and right about Elvis being alive. Writing to me about the same Elvis Presley Graceland TV program, another fan found it interesting, if not odd, that Priscilla called Elvis a living legend. He's a legend, but not a living legend. Okay. Sir, Dirk Vangella's book, Elvis and the Colonel, asks how strange it is that Elvis's famous manager, Colonel Tom Parker, was actually an illegal citizen from Holland who, after changing his name, allowed family and friends in Holland to think him dead. Has a similar ring to it. Why did Colonel Tom Parker display no emotion whatsoever, even showing up at Elvis's funeral in a loud, short-sleeved Hawaiian shirt and baseball cap, never once approaching Elvis's coffin or even entering the room where Elvis lay? Why, before the lid of the coffin was closed, is it reported that Joe Esposito removed the diamond TCB from Elvis's left hand? Isn't that the one piece of jewelry Elvis should have been buried with? Okay, I'm not sure about that. Some people do remove jewelry after they close the coffin to, keep the grave from being dug up or whatever. Okay. And I also heard there was like a carnival atmosphere during the um, burial or the funeral. You know, they were handing out, selling souvenirs and all kinds of things like that. So, why in the Stanley's Elvis We Love You Tender did David Stanley say he recalls seeing no injections or catheters, yet in his second book, Life with Elvis, he says he saw tubes running down Elvis's mouth while paramedics started administering electric shock? And why did it say in Hopkins Elvis, the final years, that Stanley rode in the ambulance, while in the author's Elvis We Love You Tender, he states that those riding in the ambulance were Al Strada, Joe Esposito, Dr. Nick, and Charlie Hodge. And in his Life with Elvis, he reports only Al Strada, Joe Esposito, and Dr. Nick rode? Why didn't Vernon Presley ride in the ambulance with his only son? And since Vernon did not see fit to go to the hospital at all, how did he sign a request for an autopsy? Why is it that Charlie Hodge, Elvis's friend, says Elvis died of cancer of the bone marrow, yet Elvis's nurse says no, not true? Yet we hear it was a heart attack, then a drug overdose, then suffocating and carpeting, then suicide, then cancer. If none of these folks know what it was, you know, it what it was, why the indignation about the rest of us asking questions? Also, the reports vary as to when Elvis was last seen alive and when his body was discovered. The medical examiner's report says Elvis was last seen alive at 8 a.m. Yet, according to Paul Lichner in his book, All My Best, Elvis signed a certified letter on the morning of August 16, 1977, around 9:30 a.m. And why don't those who found the body even know its correct position or what color Elvis's pajamas were? So she's asking all kinds of questions about the events surrounding the death of Elvis. And why are there so many discrepancies between all the accounts? So how did they all get those t-shirts printed and ready for sale within hours after Elvis's death? Why does a medical examiner's report state that Elvis was found in rigor mortis while the police report says unconscious? And why would Joe Esposito even think of giving mouth to mouth to a rigor mortis body that was blue, purple, black tongue hanging out, face contorted, and red eyes? And there was one other account where Joe Esposito said he turned the body over and he heard a gasp of breath. Well, how can a rigor mortis body breathe a last breath? Breathe a breath? That doesn't make sense. Why did ABC's 1979 show on the cover-up of the death of Elvis state that all stomach contents were destroyed, whereas Bill Burke from the Elvis World stated that the officials at Baptist Memorial Hospital assured him that the stomach contents were shipped to California laboratory for examination and then to a lab in Utah and then destroyed? In a fan newsletter interview with Kathleen Westmoreland, Elvis's backup singer, why did she say he had bone cancer throughout his entire body, yet he played racquetball the night before? And if you think if he had fatal cancer of any type, he would be not running around playing racquetball early in the morning of his supposed death. Many biographers said Elvis played racquetball in the wee hours of the morning on August 16, 1977, and that he whacked himself so hard in the leg that there was a hard knot and he limped. Why is such a contusion not shown on the medical examiner's report? Right. An interview with Charlie Hodge appeared in the October 1988 issue of Elvis Monthly. Charlie states that he was in the kitchen with Vernon and Patsy, Elvis's cousin, came running down saying something was wrong with Elvis, and then he ran upstairs to help Joe. I thought it was Al Strada who was the first called in the kitchen by Joe Esposito, yet in another report I heard that Joe Esposito was at the Howard Johnsons doing paperwork. The book Elvis, We Love You Tender talks about a conversation between Joe Esposito and the doctor at the hospital in which Joe asks how long Elvis was without oxygen, and the doctor replies that it was too long, and even if Elvis lives, he'd be like a vegetable, which indicates Elvis was alive when brought in. Yet Joe says that Elvis had been in a state of rigor mortis when found. Why did it take 20 minutes for paramedics to drive only 6 blocks to Graceland if the call was actually received at 2:33 p.m.? And why, if the body was already rigor mortis, was the announcement of dead not made until an hour later? Joe Esposito's explaining the pug nose on Elvis in the coffin from Elvis having fallen forward on his face is ludicrous. I've fallen flat on my face and my nose doesn't turn pug. Plus, and the nose doesn't support the body like the top. Weight disperses. People sleep on their faces all night long, sometimes rearranging their noses, but they don't remain such. Okay. Perhaps this is insignificant, but Elvis's Uncle Vester in his book, A Presley Speaks, says the last book Elvis was reading was the Bible, while others say it was a book on the Shroud of Turin. It was a scientific search of the grave cloth of Jesus or something on that idea. I've been going over a lot of information acquired lately, newspaper accounts, etc. One of the paramedics was quoted as saying that Dr. Nick was giving Elvis CPR when they arrived, but in Priscilla's book, Elvis and Me, she says Dr. Nick arrived just as the paramedics were leaving. Dr. Nick said in one account that he attempted resuscitation efforts because Elvis's pupils were constricted, indicating life. Pupils become dilated after death. Every medical person I have talked to says that it was ludicrous to give CPR to a rigor mortis body. Every biography about Elvis states that he knew his drugs, knew which prescribed drugs did not mix well with another, yet one of the drugs listed as being found in Elvis's system was dexedrine, a drug that is not to be taken if one has glaucoma, which Elvis had. Thus, who would prescribe such to Elvis, and why would he even have taken it? So whose body was autopsied? According to the video documentary Elvis Presley's Graceland, Elvis wanted his elderly aunt to have the gold grand piano because he no longer needed it. Why? Was he going to someplace? I call a local funeral home and ask about a seamless copper coffin similar to the one Elvis was buried in. Normally, funeral homes do not stock these extremely expensive solid copper coffins. They weigh around 300 pounds. It usually takes about 60 days to order to complete it. I find it interesting that Elvis is not buried next to his mother. Instead, he's buried between Minnie May, his grandmother, and Vernon. Odd, since Elvis died first. This means that there is an empty space between Elvis and his mother, Gladys. A clue? In the book Elvis, We Love You Tender, the authors commented that Elvis in the coffin was dressed in a white suit, looking um, noble, tranquil, frighteningly different. Then they say that Elvis was later changed into a pale blue suit. Why would anyone change Elvis's clothes? Symbolism? What? Elvis was very active in karate and had calluses and scars and crooked finger. The body in the coffin and hands that were smooth had no scars, no crooked little finger on the right hand. Why was Lisa Marie laughing and playing and riding around in a golf cart right after Elvis died? Even at 9, she would have been grief-stricken. Why was Vernon Presley talking business with the colonel within hours after Elvis's death? Where was the grief? And why, in all reports, was Priscilla described as calm and unemotional? Now, I think a lot of people handle grief differently. Some people try to hold back their grief. Maybe she didn't want to cry in front of Lisa. Maybe she's trying to be strong for Lisa. Now, driving a golf cart late at night, maybe it was a way Lisa Marie kind of, what do you call it? Um, Handling her grief. A lot of people handle grief differently, like try to keep her mind off what's going on. So those two kinds of questions I would say would be kind of hard to really ask why, because she probably did cry before. Maybe she was like remaining strong or trying to stay strong for Vernon, who took it really hard, and Lisa, we don't really know. Why did Vernon state he had opened the gates to the grieving fans? Because it was Elvis's request. Obviously, Elvis knew something we didn't, and that he was very ill. His very ill father would outlive him and would have be all around to handle it. Now that's quite interesting. At Elvis's request. Okay. An all included public viewing, a seamless and specially ordered coffin, 16 white Cadillacs for the funeral procession, sealed autopsy reports, and moving of Gladys's coffin to the mausoleum, the telephoning of dozens and dozens of people asking them not to attend the funeral. As for 16 Cadillacs, one may recall a line of one of Elvis's songs, Mystery Train. Train I ride, 16 coaches long. Also 16 symbolizing 2 8s in his numerology and so on. Despite Vernon's telephone calls to the fan club presidents and personal friends, the funeral was probably one of the largest in American history. Fans swooped down on Graceland in unprecedented numbers, and obviously not all of them succeeded in passing by the open coffin. What is odd is that biographies had and have reported that Elvis was very upset when his mother's funeral turned out to be a pseudo carnival. Vernon, too, was reported to share these sentiments. A fan has written me. Logic says that if Elvis had died, the family would have had a sedated private viewing so that the fans would always remember Elvis on stage rather than in the coffin. Billy, Rick, and David Stanley in their Elvis We Love You Tender have asked why false information concerning Elvis's death was given the public. And ABC, in its specials, has charged that Elvis did not die of heart disease, but rather of a lethal combination of prescribed drugs. The Geraldo show, in particular, upholding this view. Now, if Geraldo Rivera can intimate that documents describing the singer's death are fakes, then what prevents one from regarding the death itself as a fake or a hoax? And where does one lie end and the other begin? So ABC has demanded that the body be exhumed so certain that that a cover-up has been arranged. And a fan has written me, why was it all right for Geraldo to make charges of a cover-up and not you? She went on, I can fully understand why all the evidence was destroyed, stomach contents, internal organs. After all, they're not Elvis's. Also, it's good that the body was moved into private grounds. This makes exhumation just about impossible. So the members of Elvis fan clubs have continued many of the foregoing suspect contradictions. One might add from members of the Elvis Special in particular. An inventory of Elvis's estate lists 3 to 4 pieces of jewelry, not photographs, of Lisa or Gladys, fake suede, and leather furniture and clothing, as well as mismatched crystal, silverware, etc. What happened to most of Elvis's jewelry and his real clothing, etc.? Elvis has more property and assets than were listed by the inventory. What happened to them? Were they sold prior to August 16th? And by whom? In 1978, Dee Presley told us that she thought Elvis had called her on the phone. He didn't identify himself, but he knew things only Elvis would know. Elvis visited his dentist on August 16th. Why weren't there traces found of Novocaine in Elvis's body? If Elvis's heart was so enlarged, was it possible to play racquetball for hours on August 16th? Why did the estate receive a bill for moving Gladys's body to Graceland, but no bill for moving Elvis's? And why was the date on Elvis' will crossed off and changed by hand? Elvis had a physical exam prior to August tour. How did he pass if he had such a bad heart? Why hadn't Elvis had any new jumpsuits made for his new tour? Elvis' hair at his death was said to have been gray around the sideburns. He was going on tour the next day. Would Elvis have left his hair this way just before tour? Why were many of us personally asked by Vernon Presley not to come to Memphis for the funeral, but come a week later? Now, Maria Columbus had that phone call. So perhaps important of all, why did Elvis make these comments not long before August 16, 1977? I am and I was. I may not look good tonight, but I'll look good in my coffin. I will not live past the age of 42. Goodbye. You're not going to see me again. I'm tired of living the life I'm living. This life I am leading is going to change. If I could walk around and see the things without mobs of people and be free, it would be worth $1 million. If only for a week, just being plain little old me instead of the image. I want to breathe fresh air. I've been a slave too long. The contradictions, the puzzles go on, yet no answers have been forthcoming, and thus the question remains, is Elvis alive? Okay, so there's a lot there. I think and when I did Is Elvis Alive, the book, we went over the handwriting, the death report, which I have a copy right here on my screen above me, where his handwriting is in the name. And supposedly it was written by him. Okay. And then there was a lot of other contradictions. there was people in the hospital said it was not him, you know? Okay. Hi, Francis. How are you tonight? I have air conditioning, yes. Hey, no, she's not. Anyway, one of my favorite Christian songs is How He Loves. I like all Christian gospel and rock and roll songs too. What is your favorite Elvis gospel song? Let me know in your comments what your favorite Elvis gospel song is. I have so many favorite Elvis gospel songs, I'm not sure which one I like best. Yeah, I don't know. He texted me, asked me if I was going live. I sent him the link and he didn't come on. So maybe he's dealing with something or he's working or who knows. Hi, Jackie. How are you tonight? Joe Esposito also changed the story when Elvis died. First, it was the bathroom, then he changed it to the bedroom. I think the first time he said it was the bedroom, it was on his bed, and then he changed it to the bathroom. But we all know he was found in the bathroom, kind of lying on the floor in front of his barber chair. He had this chair that he really, really liked in his bathroom, and he was supposedly reading a book about the scientific research of the shroud of Jesus that was supposedly like opened on the chair. People said he was hunched over in front of the toilet, but actually he was in front of the chair. He made it look like he fell out of the chair. We really don't know exactly who found Elvis. Is it Joe or Ginger Alden? Ginger Alden was the one that found Elvis first. She went in, noticed he was unconscious, called the phone, but she didn't go in right away. She got up from her nap, she took a shower, she did her makeup, she called her mother, then she went searching for Elvis. And he even said in his book that she took so long. She took longer than was supposed to um, be. All right. Very strange. Definitely. Yes. I thought Ginger Eldon. Right. Ginger Eldon found him and then called Joe. And Joe came running up with Alstrada. And then Vernon also. And Lisa Marie. And yeah, they had to take her out of the bathroom. There was just too many people in there. Also, there was some other things about Ginger had said something about his body being cold, but she didn't say it was blue. Like, it looked like he lost consciousness or something. They say the casket is different guy who already died. So they swap, meaning Elvis lives. Okay, so actually, I'm going to tell you what has been revealed in a bunch of different sources. The body was switched with a terminally ill man. The body was switched. So, from what I understand out of this book here, The Truth About Elvis Aaron Presley, is that he went in, he told Ginger he was going in the bathroom to read, and he waited a little bit, and he gave himself what they call, he said, a sedative, but it was like an injection. I'm not quite sure what kind. I don't know if it gives you a unconscious state or what kind of maybe anesthesia. I don't know. Anyway, so it made him look like it was going to appear dead. And he said his friends knew what it was all about. It was all planned. Okay. So Ginger, I don't think was in on it. She saw him unconscious, called Joe. Now Joe was in on the whole thing. And from what I understand and the way that's in the movie Elvis Found Alive, um it doesn't really say in the book here, but the body was switched with a terminally ill person, which I think I had gone over. I don't know if it was last week or not. Um, Someone had plastic surgery, died. They swapped the body after it was found before the paramedics came. So they had like good 22 minutes to do that body switch. And then they took the body that was already dead for quite a few hours. That's it was in rigor mortis, you see. So Elvis wasn't in rigor mortis. So that's probably why when Joe said he turned him over and he gasped for air. But when they said body switch, the body was already in rigor mortis. They said there were some inconsistencies when they brought him into the hospital because the body into the hospital because they said that the teeth were damaged, like almost broken from having a breathing tube in the mouth. There was other things on the medical examiner, and not this report that was handwritten, but this other report. It's in a book somewhere. It's on Linda Hood Sigmund's Truth, saying that there was an incision made for like heart, whatchamacallit, heart surgery. There we go. There's my words. Heart surgery and things like that. And obviously, the medications in the bloodstream indicate morphine and high levels of pain reliever and codeine, which Elvis is definitely allergic to codeine. So, yeah. But anyway, they did a body switch. Yeah, he missed out on a lot of great songs. But I can tell you that if you look up Highway 61, there is 15 songs that he had recorded in 2011. For Elvis Found Alive, he admitted that he sang those songs. So those are actual recordings of his voice today. He goes by John Burroughs. You can actually get those actually on like iTunes as well and Amazon Music and other music spots. He does do, I think it's 4 different songs. 3 of them are like mainstream, like The Dance was originally done by Garth Brooks. He redid that song, which is one of my favorites. I can't play the songs on YouTube because of a copyright, but you can find that under Highway 61. You can also find them located on this website. If you go onto this website and you click on the right side, it says listen to Jesse's voice today. If you click on that, you'll get the 15 songs there as well. So that's where you'll find that. Okay. That's right. And Jane Tie. All right. Right. And some people grieve differently. Like I know a lot of children will probably try to have some semblance of normalcy, when they're young. Yep. I don't know where Jim went. He's not here tonight. I gave him the link, but he's not here tonight. Billy Smith said our original will was changed, probably by burning. As far as I know, his original will was changed and rewritten and redated. Like, they said March, I think, of 1977. Something like that. I think they pushed the autopsy to 2027 because he's still alive and I feel is truly be released when he passes the real one. Maybe. I'm not quite sure. I really don't know. I know they're sealed to 2027, but it's up to the family if they want to release that information after. But it probably won't get released till after he officially passes on. But I can tell you one thing, when they did do DNA, if you guys haven't seen any of those other prior videos, I did the truth book and I had the news coverage. They did DNA and they found out that the DNA from the autopsy samples did not match Jesse's DNA. It did not match Elvis's liver biopsy samples. So, GL got EAS personally GL get caught. You're stealing. Yeah. No, yeah. Exactly. He is. You'll never walk alone. That's a good song. That is How Great Thou Art. Yes, and if you guys get a chance to I think they issued and where No One Stands Alone, the whole album, and they did the duet with Lisa Marie. I love How Great Thou Art and Amazing Grace and a couple other songs on that album. Absolutely. Joe is lying. Yeah. Yeah, he's a lying mess and he's not going and he didn't reveal. I found out though that he did, and I did read it, but for some reason it was taken down. I don't know why. They said his last words to his family was that Elvis was alive, but they thought his dementia was playing tricks on him and thought he was joking. And then it was taken off, and I don't know why. I can't find the article. I like the one where he sings Green, Green Grass a Home. Okay, cool. I think In the Garden is gorgeous. He does a beautiful job with that song. All kinds. Yeah, I just love Elvis's gospel, period. All 89 songs. Elvis Presley is alive. No, he is not Bob Joyce. I am so sorry to tell you guys that. I don't know who sent this started this rumor, but he's not Bob Joyce. The current Elvis is very old, 90, like wheelchair bound, dealing with some stroke symptoms, things like that. And he's not Bob Joyce. Okay. And I think Linda has stressed that almost every single month. This I saw her last post. It was about Bob Joyce not being Elvis, and there are a bunch of videos about that. I do have some short videos and a couple other videos debunking Bob Joyce's Elvis. Another channel, if you're interested, Robbie, in watching, that might help you out with that. Watch Elvis Police. Yeah. Hey, then they didn't believe it was Elvis. Even though you have all, they didn't believe it. The name on the stone, exactly. Check the name on the stone. He is doing, as far as I know, the last update Linda said last couple days ago, she heard from the go-between. And she has this person that she sends mail to Jesse Elvis through. And the go-between said that he is doing all right. And I guess he's still dealing with his speech or something. But he's doing okay. And that the go-between is asking for prayer for his wife who had a car accident and himself because he's sick. So you want to keep him. I don't know his name. It's a private name. He's called a go-between. So let's just keep him in the prayers. All right. I think today the anniversary of death, Ben Bell. Yeah. Yeah, probably. I don't remember. I'm sorry, my brain. You can't? Wow. Oh. I think Linda's doing okay. She hasn't really said much. I know she's dealing with her fibromyalgia, arthritis, and pains, aging. You tried buying the gospel album on Amazon, Purple Rain? I don't know. You can get that out. I know you can get it on iTunes. I know that. The gospel album, Where No One Stands Alone, I believe. Because I use it all. I have it on my playlist here. And it's a reissue, 2018. And it has a duet with Lisa Marie on it. Really good. As they they use different music. The music is different too. It's more modernized, like piano and stuff. Instead of real piano, it's electronic piano and stuff. Really good. And I even bought the record and the CD on Amazon. I know they had a lot of them available. Where No One Stands Alone. Another one that's probably pretty you can get on iTunes. I don't know if you can get this anywhere, but Elvis Peace in the Valley complete gospel recordings. That one's really good too, but that one's got the older recordings on it. Not what do they call it? Digitally mastered or whatever. I'm not confident anymore about purchasing on Amazon from my experience last year. Well, I feel bad about that. My apologies. I don't know. You can probably try eBay, and you actually might be able to get it on any music place. eBay too, maybe. Yeah. Wow. Yep. Don't know. Definitely not. It's definitely not PBJ singing that. Okay. All right. Any more questions or any comments here? If not, I am going to give you guys the song to finish off with. I don't know why this isn't working. I'll get it for you.
People wonder.
You guys have a great night, and God bless you all. Don't forget to subscribe, and
in my past.
If you haven't subscribed,
I never
favorite,
left.
share.
I haven't gone. Check the spelling on the stone.
You're
Was my
very welcome.
leaving
Have a good night yourself, Francis.
you a sin? Did my faith somehow grow thin? My secret's out, so many know. Check the spelling on the stone.
The legend lives, never dies. It's up to you to decide.
Say the word, and I'll come home. Check
Good night,
the
Jackie.
spelling
I'm glad you enjoyed
on
his
the
live.
stone. Would you miss me quite the same had I never come to fame? So the truth may now be known. Check the spelling on the stone.
The legend lives, never dies. It's up to you
Sing the song.
to decide.
Say the word, and I'll come home. Check the spelling on the stone. Just check the spelling on my stone.
God bless y'all. Have a great night. Next week I'll be on at 8 o'clock my time with the next chapter, which deals with news coverage and, let me see, TV and other media that questions Elvis's death. So this will be interesting. I probably will have some video clips next week. All right, great. Amen to that. All right. Bye. Cool.